She doesn't knock. She doesn't announce her entrance with fanfare or performance. She simply appears and something inside the room adjusts. The air thickens. The silence deepens. And for a brief, haunting moment, the world around her seems to remember that light has weight. You don't see her coming because you were never taught to recognize that kind of radiance. Not the kind that screams to be seen, but the kind that walks in like a memory you forgot you needed. Like the return of warmth after a bitter season. Like the sun finding you after you've convinced yourself it forgot your name. This isn't just charm. This isn't just presence. This is the Leo woman. And no, you can't surpass her. You don't compete with something that was never part of the race. You remember her. You orbit her long after she's gone. Some call it ego. Some say it's too much. But those people mistake shine for arrogance and passion for performance. They don't realize she isn't shining to impress you. She's shining because that's what the sun does. It burns. It gives. It exists. But what truly makes her unforgettable isn't the glow, it's what lies behind it. It's the strength she doesn't show off. It's the loyalty she doesn't advertise. It's the love she gives without making it a sacrifice. She is the woman who walks away from everything except her own dignity. And if you've ever stood in her presence, even once, you know the world doesn't feel quite the same after. Before we begin, comment your date of birth and let us know. Have you ever been touched by the fire of a Leo woman? Whether you are one loved one or lost one, this journey will show you exactly why no one ever forgets her. Stay until the end because what you'll hear today might not just change how you see her. It might awaken the part of you that always knew you were born to burn too. Reason 1. She doesn't try to be seen. She simply exists. There is a fundamental difference between someone who seeks attention and someone whose presence quietly commands it. Most people enter a room carrying questions in their eyes. Am I enough? Do I belong here? Will I be noticed? The Leo woman does not carry those questions. She walks in already answered. She doesn't raise her voice. She doesn't exaggerate her gestures. She doesn't shape herself to fit the moment. She simply stands where she is fully inside her own being, and the atmosphere reorganizes itself around her. Not because she demands it, but because authenticity has weight. I once observed a woman at a private gathering, a space filled with accomplished minds and strong personalities. She was not the loudest. She was not performing charm. She was not competing for relevance. Yet people paused near her. Conversation slowed when she spoke. Silences around her did not feel awkward. They felt intentional. She was not asking to be seen. She was already present. That is the first truth of a Leo woman. Her radiance is not something she turns on. It is not a strategy. It is not a performance designed to impress. It is a state of alignment. She belongs to herself before she belongs to any room, any relationship, or any audience. And because of that, her presence stabilizes the space she enters. People sense it instinctively. They may not be able to explain it, but they feel grounded near her, as if something essential has arrived. This is why attempts to dim her rarely work. When the world tells her to be less, to soften, to shrink for comfort, something fundamental resists. Not out of arrogance, but out of truth. Because what she carries is not excess. It is essence. And essence cannot be edited without consequences. The Leo woman does not shine to be admired. She shines because she is aligned with who she is. Life lesson from reason 1. The Leo woman teaches a quiet but powerful truth. You do not attract respect by asking for permission to exist. When you stand fully in your own identity without apology or performance, you restore balance not only within yourself, but around you. People respond to certainty long before they respond to effort. Trying to be noticed is exhausting. Being authentic is magnetic. The moment you stop negotiating your worth, the world begins adjusting to you instead of the other way around. Have you ever noticed how the most powerful people rarely try to prove themselves? Or have you experienced a moment when you stopped shrinking and everything shifted? Comment if this resonates with your experience. Reason 2. Her confidence is not loud, it's rooted. Some confuse volume with confidence. They believe the one who speaks the most must surely believe in themselves the most. But the Leo woman knows better. She does not confuse noise with power, because true confidence does not announce itself. It emanates silently, steadily from deep within. Her strength is not made of declarations. It's made of survival, of truths she didn't need others to confirm in order to carry. She has walked through enough storms to know what she's made of. She doesn't need applause to feel valuable nor approval to stay whole. That's why, when she enters a space, she doesn't scan the room for validation. She scans for resonance. She listens more than she speaks. She observes before she acts. And when she speaks, you lean in not because she demands it, but because her words carry the calm gravity of someone who has faced herself and didn't flinch. I once watched a Leo woman in a high-pressure boardroom. Men twice her age, voices 3 times as loud, filled the space with bravado. She didn't interrupt. She didn't compete. She waited. When she finally spoke, it was without urgency, but her voice carried the weight of resolution, not because she had more facts, but because she had more certainty. The room shifted, not by force, but by the quiet authority of someone who knew who she was before anyone else did. This is the Leo woman's secret. She doesn't walk in to prove she belongs. She belongs, and that truth walks in with her. Life lesson from Reason 2. The Leo woman teaches us that confidence is not about volume, it's about roots. Anyone can mimic bravado, but real confidence is forged in silence. In those unseen moments where you kept going without praise, where you chose self-respect over acceptance, where you became your own mirror when no one reflected your worth. Confidence becomes real the moment you no longer need the world to echo back what you already know. And when you stop searching for outside certainty, you become the one who creates it. Have you ever realized that the quietest person in the room was the one who carried the most strength? Or maybe you've been that person, silent, steady, and unshakable. If that speaks to you, share your experience in the comments. Reason 3. She doesn't just have presence, she carries it like gravity. There are people who enter a space, and then there are those who alter it. The Leo woman does not arrive with spectacle or flash. She arrives with a shift, subtle at first, like the drop in temperature before a storm or the way your skin tingles before sunrise. Her presence is not decoration, it's architecture. It shapes the room itself. This isn't about how she looks. It's not the clothes she wears, the way she moves, or the sound of her voice. It's the fact that she is fully there, fully inside her own skin, fully awake to her own energy. And that kind of self-possession is rare. You don't always notice her immediately, but once you do, you can't unknow her. She stays in your awareness like a compass point. Even in silence, she speaks. Even in stillness, she moves something in you. I once spoke with a man who couldn't explain why he remembered a woman he met only once. He said, I barely talked to her. We shared maybe 2 minutes of conversation, but something about her stayed with me. She looked at me like she already knew who I was. Not in a judgmental way, more like she had already accepted whatever truth I was afraid to say. That woman was a Leo, and her presence. It wasn't about volume. It wasn't about charm. It was about clarity. She was not projecting something. She was embodying something. And the room shifted because she didn't need it to. Life lesson from Reason 3. The Leo woman teaches that true presence is not about performance. It's about embodiment. Most people try to appear confident, try to act interesting, try to project a version of themselves they think others will admire. But when you are fully rooted in your own truth, you stop performing and start being. And in a world addicted to noise, the quiet clarity of someone who knows who they are without needing anyone's permission becomes unforgettable. That's what real presence is. Not attention-seeking, but energy-holding. Not pulling people in by force, but drawing them closer through gravity. Have you ever met someone who didn't have to speak loudly to leave a mark on your memory? Or have you felt that you hold that kind of presence where silence speaks louder than words? Share your story below. It may be exactly what someone else needs to hear. Reason 4. Her heart is generous, not because it's untouched, but because it's been forged by fire. People often misunderstand generosity. They confuse it with softness, with naivete, as if to give fully is to not know better. As if to love deeply is to love blindly. But when a Leo woman gives you her heart, she is not handing you something untested. She is handing you something sacred. Because before she gave it to you, it survived fire. Her love is not reckless. It is resilient. It's not a reflex. It's a choice. I once knew a Leo woman who loved a man through years of illness. She stayed when others left. Not out of martyrdom, not because she lacked options, but because her loyalty wasn't based on convenience. I asked her once, how do you keep showing up without being thanked? She smiled and said, because love isn't about being owed. It's about who I choose to be even when no one's watching. That's what people miss. The Leo woman isn't generous because she needs to be needed. She's generous because she knows the weight of real care and she chooses to lift it anyway. She'll remember what you said in passing. She'll hold space when your words fail. She'll celebrate you louder than you celebrate yourself. And she won't keep a scoreboard. She doesn't love to win. She loves to honor. But here's the part most people forget. Her generosity is not unlimited. It is intentional. And when you misuse it, she doesn't retaliate. She retracts. She does not throw her pain. She withdraws her presence. And what's left behind is not noise, it's absence. And if you've ever known what it's like to feel that absence, you know it's colder than any silence. Life lesson from reason 4. The Leo woman teaches us that real love is not about losing yourself. It's about choosing from your whole self. Giving doesn't make you weak. Loving deeply doesn't make you naive. What matters is why you give and whether that giving comes from fullness or fear. When you know who you are, you can love without needing to control, without needing it returned in the same form, and without losing the core of your dignity. That's the kind of love that heals, not because it demands anything, but because it reveals everything. Have you ever loved someone fully, not because they earned it, but because it was who you were at your core? Or maybe you've walked away not out of anger, but because your love was no longer respected. If that resonates, share your truth below. Reason 5. She can love you fiercely, but she will never abandon herself for you. Some mistake devotion for disappearance. They expect that when a woman loves, she'll dissolve into the relationship. They believe loyalty means self-erasure. They think choosing someone else means forgetting how to choose herself. But the Leo woman was never built to disappear. She can love you with a fire that warms your deepest wounds. She will remember the smallest details, your quiet fears, your favorite songs, the way your voice changes when you're tired. She will make you feel chosen, celebrated, and protected. But make no mistake, if that love begins to cost her integrity, if her loyalty becomes a currency spent only in one direction, if being close to you means stepping further away from herself, she will leave. Not loudly, not destructively. She will exit the stage of your life the same way the sun sets quietly, inevitably, with no explanation owed. I once heard a story from a woman who had been in a long, draining relationship. She kept giving time, energy, patience until one day she stopped. Not because she stopped loving, but because she realized she had vanished from her own life. She was a Leo, and when she finally walked away, she didn't scream. She didn't accuse. She simply turned off the light, and those left behind felt it. Not the drama, not the chaos, but the absence. And that absence said everything. Life lesson from reason 5. The Leo woman reminds us you can give someone your heart without giving them your crown. You can stand beside someone without stepping out of your own light. Real love is not about sacrifice that burns you empty. It's about sacred alignment, a bond where both people remain whole. When your presence starts costing your self-worth, when your loyalty becomes a negotiation against your spirit, it's not love anymore. It's erosion. And walking away from that is not weakness, it's sovereignty. Have you ever stayed too long in a place where your light wasn't honored? Or have you learned the power of a silent exit? If so, your story may be exactly what someone else needs to gather the strength to reclaim themselves. Share it below. Reason 6. Her glow hides the pain she's carried and the fire she refused to let die. People see the Leo woman's light and assume it was always easy to burn. They see the confidence, the laughter, the elegant posture, and they imagine her untouched by sorrow, unbothered by betrayal, unaffected by the quiet kinds of heartbreak that don't make headlines but change the way you breathe at night. But what they don't see, what she rarely shows, is how many times she's had to resurrect herself in silence. The truth is, her glow was never just brightness. It was defiance. It was the choice to keep shining after being left in the dark. I once spoke with a Leo woman who had spent years building a life she thought was unbreakable, only to watch it unravel in a matter of months. A partner betrayed her. A dream dissolved. Her world collapsed. But she didn't fall apart in front of anyone. She still smiled. She still showed up. She still carried herself with grace. And when I asked her how, she said, "I let myself break, just not in public. I cried behind doors, but I never handed my ruin to someone else to carry. Because my crown isn't a decoration. It's what I rebuild every time I'm destroyed." That's the unseen truth. The Leo woman doesn't deny pain. She transforms it. She doesn't let it harden her. She lets it teach her. And when she returns to the world stronger, clearer, radiant again, it's not because the pain didn't touch her. It's because it couldn't keep her. Life lesson from reason 6. The Leo woman shows us that healing is not about hiding the pain, it's about refusing to become it. You don't have to pretend you weren't hurt. You don't have to mask the moments when life cracked something open inside you. But you also don't have to let those cracks define your worth. Strength isn't about never breaking. It's about choosing what grows in the broken places. And when you realize that your light is not dependent on perfect circumstances, when you understand that you can still burn even when everything feels cold, you begin to rise in a way no one can reverse. Have you ever felt like you had to keep shining even while breaking inside? Or have you walked through pain silently only to come back stronger than before? Leave a comment. Your story might be the torch someone else needs tonight. Reason 7. She leads without needing a throne, and others trust her because her fire feels safe. Leadership often wears a costume, a title, a loud voice, an inflated posture built to look like strength. But the Leo woman doesn't lead from ego, she leads from center. She doesn't need to declare herself in charge. She doesn't need to dominate the conversation. She doesn't need anyone to kneel. Because leadership for her is not about control, it's about consistency. She becomes the anchor in uncertain spaces, the steady flame when everything around is flickering. You may not even notice it at first, but when people feel lost, they look to her, not for orders, but for clarity. Years ago, I watched a Leo woman hold together a fractured team during a crisis. No one asked her to. No one gave her a title. But while others panicked, she listened. While others shouted, she breathed. And when she finally spoke, people followed not out of fear, but because her conviction felt like home. She didn't ask to be the leader. She became it. That's the Leo way. Her fire isn't wild. It's tempered. It warms without burning. It inspires without intimidating. And, most importantly, she doesn't lead to rise above others. She rises so others remember how to rise with her. That is why people trust her, because being near her makes them feel more themselves, not less. Life lesson from reason 7. The Leo woman reminds us, you don't need authority to lead, only alignment. True leadership doesn't come from forcing others to follow. It comes from embodying something so steady, so sincere, that others feel safe enough to find their own footing beside you. The world is full of noise, but when you become the calm within it, you become the one people look toward. Not because you said follow me, but because they realized I can trust myself when I'm near you. That is sacred leadership, and it requires no throne. Have you ever led without asking to just by staying grounded when others couldn't? Or have you felt drawn to someone whose presence made chaos feel manageable? Your story might reflect a truth someone else is just beginning to see in themselves. Share it below. Reason 8. Her independence is sacred. She doesn't need you to complete her, only to walk beside her freely. There's a quiet kind of strength in a woman who can stand alone, not because she's hardened, but because she's whole. The Leo woman does not confuse solitude with loneliness. She knows how to enjoy her own company. She builds without an audience. She heals without waiting to be rescued. And that's what makes her love so rare, because she doesn't need it. She chooses it. She chooses you not from emptiness, but from a place of fullness that says, I am already lit. I'm just offering you warmth. I once met a Leo woman who had left a relationship that many called perfect. The man was wealthy, kind, attentive, but she said something I'll never forget. He wanted to build a life around me, but he didn't want me to keep building mine. She didn't leave because he was bad. She left because his love came with a cage. And a Leo woman was not born to be domesticated. She was born to expand. She will walk beside you, but not behind you. She will support your growth, but not at the cost of her own. She doesn't want a love that traps her. She wants a love that witnesses her, respects her rhythm, and meets her fire with its own. In a world where too many people confuse attachment with affection, her clarity becomes electric. She won't beg for belonging. She is belonging to herself first. Life lesson from reason 8. The Leo woman teaches us this. Real love is not a merger. It's a partnership between two complete souls. You don't have to lose yourself to be close to someone. You don't have to trade independence for intimacy. You don't have to abandon your dreams just to stay. When you are truly aligned with your own essence, you invite love in without letting it replace you. And the relationships that grow from that space, they don't feel like chains. They feel like freedom with roots. Have you ever walked away from someone because their version of love felt like a cage? Or have you learned how to stay whole even while loving deeply? Let us know in the comments. Your truth might help someone else find their own. Reason 9. Her magnetism isn't a trick. It's what happens when someone is fully awake to the moment. Most people float through life half asleep. They speak without listening. They look without seeing. They touch without feeling. But the Leo woman is different. She's present. Not just physically, but energetically, emotionally, soulfully present. And that is her magnetism. She doesn't pull you in with artifice. She doesn't rehearse her laughter. My name is Ori's and she doesn't weaponize charm. She simply is there, and the moment becomes more alive because of it. I once saw a Leo woman sitting in a cafe alone. She wasn't dressed to impress. She wasn't making herself noticeable. But there was something cinematic about her presence. The way she sipped her coffee, the way she paused to look at the rain, the way she seemed to belong to the moment completely. A man at the next table watched her, not with desire but with awe. Later, I overheard him say, "She made the whole room feel like a scene I never wanted to end." That's her power. She doesn't try to create magic. She reminds you that magic is possible. Because when someone is fully alive in a moment, they become a mirror for everything you forgot to notice. The softness of a sigh, the meaning behind a silence, the way a glance can feel like a lifetime. This is why people remember her, not because she overwhelms, but because she awakens. Life lesson from Reason 9. The Leo woman teaches us that the most unforgettable moments in life are not loud, they're deeply present. You don't have to be flashy to be felt. You don't have to be dramatic to leave a mark. You just have to show up completely with your full attention, your full presence, and your full truth. When you live that way, you turn ordinary days into sacred ones. You turn passing moments into memory. And the people around you begin to feel more awake, not because you dazzled them, but because your stillness gave them permission to arrive. Have you ever shared a moment with someone that felt small, but stayed with you forever? Or have you noticed that when you're fully present, everything around you becomes more meaningful? Share your experience. Someone else might need that reminder to return to their own moment. Reason 10. Her loyalty feels like shelter, but she'll walk away the moment you forget its worth. Loyalty is often romanticized. People speak of it as a virtue, but rarely understand the weight it carries. For the Leo woman, loyalty isn't casual. It's sacred. It's not a reflex. It's a vow. When she chooses you, she remembers your details, not just your favorite color or the food you like, but the way your voice softens when you're scared, the silence between your words on hard days, the look in your eyes when you think no one's watching. She catalogs emotion, not just events. Because to her, love is not a timeline, it's a constellation of moments she guards like treasure. And when she's in, she's all in. She'll defend you when you're not around. She'll cheer for you louder than you cheer for yourself. She'll see your brokenness and stay anyway, not because she's blind, but because she understands that real love includes the parts most people try to hide. But here's what you must understand. Her loyalty is not unconditional. It is honorable. And when it's taken for granted, when lies replace honesty, when care turns into convenience, when presence is met with indifference, she won't plead, she won't chase, she won't scream to be valued. She'll walk away, calm, composed, unshaken. And the absence she leaves behind will feel like the sun vanished from your sky without warning. Because it did. I once met a man who said I thought she'd always be there, until she wasn't. Now I realize it wasn't her love that changed. It was me. I stopped deserving it. And that is the paradox of the Leo woman. She will stay through fire. She will weather your worst storms. But the moment you mistake her loyalty for obligation, you lose her. Not because she stopped loving you, but because she never stopped loving herself. Life lesson from Reason 10. The Leo woman teaches us that loyalty should never come at the cost of self-respect. To stay by someone's side through difficulty is powerful. But to stay while being diminished, that is not loyalty. That is betrayal of the self. You are not required to shrink in the name of devotion. You are not meant to endure disrespect just to prove you care. Real loyalty holds both tenderness and boundaries. It knows when to stay and when to stand up and leave with dignity. And when you learn to love like that, you don't lose people. You release what no longer honors your light. Have you ever had to walk away from someone you loved because staying would have meant forgetting who you are? Or have you ever realized too late that someone's loyalty was a gift you mishandled? Share what this awakens in you. Your words may be the closure or clarity someone else is looking for. Conclusion: she was never meant to burn out. She was meant to rise again and again. Some women are remembered for what they do, some for what they give. But the Leo woman, she's remembered for what she awakens. You don't leave her presence untouched. You don't forget the sound of her conviction, the weight of her silence, the way her loyalty made you feel chosen, even on the days you couldn't choose yourself. She doesn't shine for attention. She shines because she's made of light that refused to go out. And that light, it has been tested. It has burned through betrayal. It has flickered in rooms where she was misunderstood. It has dimmed under the pressure of trying to be less, to be softer, smaller, more acceptable. But it never died, because the truth is, a Leo woman doesn't collapse. She sheds. She doesn't stay buried in heartbreak. She rises through it again and again, not for applause, but because her soul was never meant to live in the shadows. She was born to be seen. Not in the way fame craves attention, but in the way a flame confirms that warmth is still possible after the cold has convinced you otherwise. If you've ever loved a Leo woman, if you've ever lost one, if you are one, then you know she changes you. Not with demands, not with drama, but by showing you that self-respect is not a threat, it's a compass. She doesn't teach with words, she teaches by existing. And once you've seen her stand in her truth, once you've watched her walk away, with her dignity unshaken, once you've felt what it's like to be chosen by her fire, you don't return to who you were before. Not because she bound you, but because she reminded you you carry your own fire too. Final life lesson. The Leo woman embodies this eternal truth. You are not here to be manageable. You are not here to dim. You are not here to beg. You are here to burn with clarity, with purpose, with sovereignty. And the moment you stop apologizing for your light is the moment your true life begins. Final comment invitation. If this journey spoke to something deep inside you, leave a comment. Tell us what part of the Leo woman lives in you, or what part of you she helped you remember. And if you're ready to carry your own fire more fiercely, subscribe to this channel. This is just the beginning.